The snowstorm stranger, a single dad, found her abandoned in the cold. He had no idea she would save him too. The snow had been falling for 3 hours straight when Daniel Mercer pulled his old truck off Highway 9 to stack the last of the firewood in the bed. He was tired, the kind of tired that doesn't come from one bad day but from 3 years of bad days stacked on top of each other. 3 years since Claire left, 3 years of raising Lily alone, working the lumber yard 6 days a week, and coming home to a 7-year-old who deserved more than a father running on coffee and guilt. He adjusted his scarf, climbed back behind the wheel, and that's when the headlights caught her. A woman, alone, sitting in a wheelchair at the edge of the forest road, snow collecting on her shoulders like she'd been there long enough for it to settle. She was wearing a red coat, the kind you wear to a wedding, not a blizzard. Her auburn hair was pinned half up, and her lipstick was still perfect, which struck him as the saddest detail of all. Daniel didn't hesitate. He pulled over. "Ma'am?" He stepped out, crunching through the snow toward her. "Are you okay?" She looked up. Her eyes were dark brown and sharp even now, even with the cold turning her cheeks raw and tears frozen at the corners of her lashes. "I've had better evenings," she said. Her name was Victoria Hale. She told him that much as he carefully loaded her wheelchair into the truck bed and helped her into the passenger's seat. She didn't tell him anything else. Not yet. He didn't ask. He just turned the heat up, handed her the thermos of coffee he'd been saving for the drive home, and pulled back onto the road. "There's a motel about 12 miles up," he said, "or I can take you to the hospital if you're hurt." "I'm not hurt." She wrapped both hands around the thermos. "Not physically." He nodded. Left it alone. They drove in silence for a few minutes before she said quietly, "I was supposed to get married tonight." Daniel glanced at her. She was staring straight ahead at the dark road. "The venue was beautiful. The flowers were white roses. My dress cost more than most people's cars." She paused. "He didn't show up." "The groom? My fiancé, or former fiancé, I suppose." She exhaled slowly. "He sent a text. To my maid of honor, couldn't even manage to send it to me directly." A short, humorless laugh. 12 years together. A text. Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "That's a coward's move." She looked at him, really looked at him for the first time. "Yes," she said, "it was." "How'd you end up on that road?" "I asked everyone to leave me alone, my family, my friends. They all meant well, but I needed to breathe. I wheeled myself out a side door and somehow ended up at the edge of those woods." She looked out the window. "I didn't think I'd be out there so long." "Well," Daniel tapped the wheel, "lucky I needed firewood tonight." She studied his profile in the dim cab light. His jaw was set, steady, hands calm on the wheel. Not nervous around her chair, not over-helpful, not awkward. Just normal. Like picking up a woman abandoned in a snowstorm was just something decent people did. "Are you always this calm?" she asked. "Not always." He gave a slight smile. "But I've got a 7-year-old at home. You develop a certain threshold." He took her to the Pinecrest Inn, the only decent place within 20 miles. When he pulled up and got out to help her, the front desk clerk recognized him. Small town, everyone knew Daniel, and waved him over. "We're full, Dan. Conference this weekend, remember?" Daniel turned back to look at Victoria sitting in the truck. Her wedding dress peeked out from beneath that red coat. Somewhere in the last 12 miles, her composure had cracked just slightly. Her chin was doing the thing chins do when someone is trying very hard not to cry. He made a decision. "You can stay at my place tonight," he said, walking back to the truck. "Before you say no, it's a house, not a trap. My daughter is home with a babysitter. You'll have the guest room, a lock on the door, and I'll sleep on the couch." She blinked. "You don't know me." "You don't know me either." He shrugged. "But it's 10 degrees out and dropping. You can decide if I'm trustworthy in the morning." She was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Okay." Lily was still awake when they got home. Of course she was. 7-year-olds have a sixth sense for the nights their fathers bring home mysteries. She appeared at the top of the stairs in her dinosaur pajamas, eyes wide, staring at Victoria in her red coat and wheelchair. "Are you a queen?" Lily asked. Victoria blinked. Then, for the first time all night, she genuinely laughed. "Not exactly. You look like one." "Lily, Daniel said, gently firm. Bed. Is she staying over? Guest room. Go. Lily retreated, but not before offering Victoria a very serious, very solemn wave, the kind reserved for important guests. After the babysitter left and Lily was finally asleep, Daniel made tea. Victoria sat at the kitchen table, the wedding dress folded neatly on the chair beside her, now in borrowed sweatpants and one of Daniel's flannels. She looked, somehow, more herself this way. This house, she said, looking around at the warm kitchen, the crayon drawings on the refrigerator, the slightly lopsided bookshelf full of picture books and paperback thrillers. It feels like a home. It's trying to be one, Daniel said. What happened to her mother? He set 2 mugs down. She left when Lily was 4, wasn't ready for the life, she said. The small town, the physical work, the routine. He sat down across from her. She wasn't wrong about wanting something different. She just didn't mention it until after. Victoria looked at him steadily. How do you do it? Alone? You don't think about the whole thing at once. You just think about today. Does Lily have lunch? Is she happy? Did I read her a story? He shrugged. You just keep doing the next thing. Something shifted in Victoria's expression. Something that had been braced all night, tensed like a muscle held too long, quietly released.
I've been running a company since I was 26, she said. I have 1,200 employees. I've negotiated contracts in 4 countries.
She looked down at her tea.
And I have no idea how to just keep doing the next thing, without a plan, without control.
Deadite hit so hard. Not just because he left, Daniel said carefully, but because it was the one thing you couldn't plan your way out of. The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable. It was the kind that comes after something true gets said. In the morning, Lily made Victoria a drawing of a queen in a red wheelchair, with a crown and a dog, even though Victoria had neither. Daniel made pancakes. Victoria sat at the table like she'd done it 100 times, helping Lily with the syrup, pretending not to notice when Lily snuck a second pancake. Victoria's phone had been buzzing since dawn. Her family, her assistant, her lawyer probably. She'd silenced it. Just for the morning. After breakfast, Daniel helped her back into her chair and walked her to the truck to take her wherever she needed to go. Her company had already dispatched a car. She'd texted her assistant with an address. It would be there in 40 minutes. They stood. She sat in the winter morning light, snow clean and still around them, sky going pale blue. Can I ask you something? She said. Sure. The lumber yard, is it yours? I work it. It belonged to my father. He's getting too old to run it now. I'm trying to buy it from him, but the bank... He stopped. It's a long story. She nodded slowly. Didn't say anything more. Just looked at him the way people look at things they're figuring out. Thank you, Daniel, she said. For last night, for not making it a big thing. You were cold and alone. Didn't seem complicated. She smiled, a real one this time. The kind that reached her eyes. Most people would have made it complicated. 3 weeks later, a letter arrived at the lumber yard, official letterhead, Hale Capital Group. Daniel opened it at the counter, smearing sawdust on the envelope. Inside was a formal document, a private loan offer, below market rate, long repayment terms, no bank involvement, enough to buy the yard outright. Attached was a handwritten note on cream paper. You said you just keep doing the next thing. I'm trying to learn that. Consider this me doing mine. Victoria P.S. Lily's drawing is framed in my office. Tell her the Queen says thank you. Daniel called the number at the bottom of the letter. Victoria answered on the second ring. You didn't have to do this, he said. I know. This is a significant amount of money. I'm aware I signed the check. Victoria, Daniel. Her voice was warm but firm, the voice of someone who had learned how to make decisions and live with them. You pulled over on a dark road in a snowstorm. You gave me your thermos. You let your daughter call me a queen, and you didn't explain away a single thing about my chair or my situation or my crying. A pause. Good people are rarer than capital. Let me do something useful with mine. He was quiet for a moment. Outside the yard, snow was falling again, lighter this time. Through the window he could see the stacks of timber, the old equipment, the sign his father had hung in 1987. "All right," he said finally, "but I'm paying every cent back." "I never doubted it." Another pause. Comfortable, like the one at his kitchen table 3 weeks ago. "How are you?" he asked. "Better," she said. "I'm doing the next thing." He smiled. "Yeah? One day at a time." She sounded like she meant it. "I might be in your area next month. Business in the region. Lily will want to know if you're coming for pancakes." Victoria laughed. That real laugh, the one that had surprised them both on a snowy night when nothing was supposed to be funny. "Tell her yes." Some storms, it turns out, drop exactly what you need. A man who stopped not because he expected anything, but because that's simply who he was. A woman who had everything and had forgotten what it felt like to be helped without an agenda. A little girl in dinosaur pajamas who saw a queen when the rest of the world saw a crisis. Daniel Mercer didn't save Victoria Hale that night. He just pulled over. Sometimes that's enough to change everything.